All right, mortgage moments. Come on up, Mike. Is it Mike? Yep, Mike's coming up.
Hey guys. So we're starting to see the market shift upwards again. I think you've all have kind of seen that and maybe have heard a little bit, but we're starting to approach the 2-month highs once more on the 30-year fixed rates. So be watching those pre-approvals. Any lender ought to be watching those and keeping an eye out for you. But especially on listings, you're trying to go under contract on stuff, do your due diligence, make sure that the lenders are paying attention to what those rates are. So that we're getting under contract on good deals and good things are happening. Know that as Intralend as a whole, we do have a lot of variety of options when it comes to those mortgage products and rates. We're extremely competitive when it comes to our wholesale options. We have a handful of lenders that we work with that are still trying to stay under that 6% rate, which is where we're starting to lean into when it comes to the 30-year fixed. So any of those questions as far as rates, products, and pricing, come talk to me. I've got options available, not only through those wholesale channels, but also through the partner lenders. We'd love to be able to help you out and give you kind of options as to what's available and what's out there for you.
Woo! Awesome. Thanks, Mike. You can give it to Hunter. Okay, Dino, here.
Thank you. Okay. Talked about this last week, but we're pimping for KW Westfield. I have highlighted some recommended candidates for elections. And so do you have the clicker? Where's the clicker? Oh, thank you. So look, Dan Kennedy is a rock star. Please consider him. Now, election starts next week, I believe. I believe it's next week and it's for a couple of weeks. So we have complete bias. Again, I've highlighted some recommendations for you. They all have something in common. I just think that I would love for us to have additional influence, not undue influence, but I think that we can really make a difference. So please, please, please vote, those of you who are members of UCAR. And then let's back up a bit. Let's talk about backup addenda. Who has used a backup addendum or has seen one come across their desk? If you are a listing agent, if you're a buyer agent, let me go back. You represent a buyer. Your buyer loves this property, but it's already under contract. You submitted an offer with a backup addendum. Good idea, bad idea? Great idea for a buyer. If you're a seller, you're representing the listing. You receive an offer that's under contract, and now you get another offer, comes with the backup addendum. Should your seller sign it? I heard depends, but I have an opinion on this one. I'm going to share it with you. Don't. What is the purpose of a backup offer addendum? What happens if your seller signs a backup offer addendum and buyer number one goes away? It automatically puts that backup offer in primary position. Let's pretend between the time when you accepted a backup offer addendum, you get a cash offer for $20,000 more because they really want it. Can your seller consider that and take it over the backup? Not legally. I would recommend as the listing side, buyers, use it all day. If you're representing a buyer, use it. If you're a list side, hold all offers. Let them know you're going to hold offer. It's a little thing, but I've seen it come up more than once. And man, you just don't want to be stuck saying, yeah, seller, there's another offer that came in that's better, but we're stuck with this one that's a good offer, but it's not a great offer. So anyway, just a recommendation, consider it. Was that kind of what you were thinking, Cameron, when you said depends?
Yeah, I was actually thinking what the backup offer is, the 20,000 over cash offer.
Yeah.
Right. And they
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah,
So
you want to get that.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends. But I would recommend even then, if you have an offer that is that cash offer, the second one, yeah, consider it. But just let them know we'll hold it. If there's a hiccup, we'll do it. Colleen.
The thing with backup offers that I've accepted, they match the offer that we have accepted. So I make them bring me the same terms as the offer we just accepted. And when it comes to inspections and if appraisal comes in low, that first offer is not gonna think about asking as much for inspections or thinking about trying to negotiate on appraisal. If they know I have one in our pocket, that's willing to pay us the same as they did.
Yeah.
They can't tell me have a backup without having to sign backup. Like you said.
Yeah. Just say, I'm going to hold that offer. If the primary offer hiccups or they have any kind of reason they maybe wanted to back out, I'm going to come back to you and say, are you guys still in or have you found something? Because half the time they're going to find something anyway, especially now. But anyway, just food for thought, because backup offers are great if you're representing a buyer. They may not be that great if you're representing a seller. And you always want to represent your client to the very best of your ability. Okay, that's all I got today.
Hi, Beck. So.
Adam usually brings a really good lunch, and so he comes at the end.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we'll
he'll
give him
come at
some
the end.
grace on that.
Okay.
So before we get into our panel, oftentimes during team meetings, we want to announce all of the cool things that are happening, and sometimes we have to report on the bad as well. And so I do have to let you guys know of an incident that took place when we were at MegaCamp that had to happen with some of our agents, but I'll have Nobly actually read the text message and who it's from.
Hey, Nobly. Oh, it's on.
Hey, Novely, this is Todd Salmon. I'm not really sure who to text about this, but thought you would want to know that you would know what to do. I was scootering with Clay and Johnny from the MAPS dinner, and Clay's scooter handle scratched a car. These guys jumped out and it escalated to a fight in seconds. A hotel security guard called the cops and they got arrested. I don't really want to get them in trouble, but don't know who else to tell. Carl is still talking to people at the MAPS event and not picking up. Sorry.
Where's Todd at?
So Todd decides to send this to the one person with the heart condition in the office. Can you imagine?
Thanks for that.
Well, they're still in jail. So if you have not seen them this week, that's why.
That's what happens to you when you skip MegaCamp. I will be there in person next year.
Totally. So luckily everybody made it back safe. And everybody that went got some awesome ROI, some value, and we're gonna have a conversation about that. So we have an amazing panel set up for today. So I wanna introduce Heather Groom, Cody Thorup, Carl Spencer, and Becca Summers. Come on up. Please come on up. Yeah, for those who didn't get it, that was a joke, just so you know. Amber was still like, do we need to go bail them out? Like, no, it was a joke. Nobly got pranked, and yeah. So when she initially read it to me, I actually thought, I was like, wait a second, like they were on my flight back home. I didn't even notice. So sweet. How are you guys doing? Let's get them some mics. I first want to just start off, and whoever wants to kick it off, feel free.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love to know, why did you guys make the investment to go to MegaCamp?
Am I up first?
Whoever,
Okay.
sure.
Well, I went because I wanted to also network with people out of the state. I've actually picked up, we actually are under contract right now with somebody that I met at the last event at Family Reunion. I met an agent from Arizona, and we've been kind of referring people back and forth. So I think it's really valuable for networking. Also just in polishing your skill set as well.
So for me, I'm a social butterfly, and I talked to Todd one night where I was like, hey, the relationships and everything, I can't describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bonding that you get from just having the opportunity to be off site and working with people, you're connecting, you're having dinner, you're having fun, you're pranking Nova Lee. Todd, a lot of different things. Becca Brady and I and Todd, we ended up having the exact same flight home magically. So
Yeah.
then we got to sit and chat the whole time, and it was way fun. Just getting to know each other and learning about their life, and played a game to not talk about work for 15 minutes to see if we could do it. We did okay. We did okay. Made it like 6 minutes. It's good.
So I am less social. I do enjoy getting to know people at a different level, but if you see over there, you have learning based as your 6 personal perspectives, and making sure you have something in your calendar all the time coming up that you're going to. And it also just gets me motivated for what's going on, because this job's hard and lonely sometimes. So just having the energy of other people who are loving it and thriving and enjoying it.
For me, it was the first time I've been to MegaCamp. It was an opportunity, I think, for me to really see and understand what other agents are doing at a really high level. So being on Red Sign team as a director of sales, seeing what other teams are doing at a high level, being able to see the successes they're having, but then also just as an agent, there's a ton of really high level people that were there. And so to be able to network with them, see what they're doing, and be able to replicate that was awesome.
That's great. Did any of you feel like you made a connection or a relationship with somebody who's just phenomenal or awesome, and maybe the impact that they made on you?
Yeah. So on my way home, I was able to sit next to Mike Hicks, really the godfather that created the Promise script. So I was able to talk his ear off and connect with him. And hopefully we have a goal as a team to be able to go up and shadow their team. They're really high level, doing a ton of business, but he's just been in the business for 34 years this next month. So that was an awesome opportunity to meet him.
Sweet.
So they had a silent auction for KW Kids Care. So I was able to buy lunch with Mark King, who is the president of Keller Williams.
Yeah.
So during family reunion next February, I'm going to go to lunch with Mark King.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm jealous of that. That's pretty cool.
You could pay it. A lot.
Only 3 people won.
Yeah, again, it's everywhere. I ended up randomly running into some guys on the street that lived in the same area of Brazil I did. They're agents in Miami, Florida. It was super fun to just connect and pick up people like that. I'm in KWSC and the sports entertainment team. So it's really fun to actually meet all of their staff and all of that, and hang out with them, get to know them a little better. So tons of opportunities where you rub shoulders.
Yeah, I sat on the airplane next to someone also in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I was like, I need somebody in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So it was just really funny. I also met with the Arents, who run a big team in Austin, Texas. We went to their house. We got invited over there, and that was really cool. That was amazing. And I just feel like there were just so many people you do just run into, and even just getting to know people from our office. Like I was joking around because I'm like, Cody and I really didn't know each other in Jordan. I was like, I went all the way, I had to go to Austin to go and meet people from our office. But anyway, so it was great that direction as well. Just getting to know people, and also people from the South Valley office, like other offices here in Utah as well.
Yeah,
Totally. Love that. Yeah. So just so those who have not been to MegaCamp experience before, the format is Gary and some of the other leadership will bring individuals on stage and put them in a hot seat. And obviously these are top performers, individuals who have proven a model, and they'll ask them about their model. And so I'm curious from your guys' perspective, if there was a specific session that really stood out to you and what you gained from that topic.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'll go. I don't know if there's really, I think one thing specifically that stood out to me and Gary Keller talked a lot about it while we were there at MegaCamp, was just being intentional in your business, being intentional with what you're doing. But it also, the thing I loved most about it is they put people in hot seats and they just interviewed them, wanted to know what they're doing in their business, what's going on, what's driven their business, and be able to see their unit count and things, and just how successful they've been. But the eye-opening thing to me that the most common thing that occurred in every single one of those interviews is that every high-level agent, every team up there was doing one thing very, very well. And I'll give you an example. They had, I thought one of the coolest or neatest interviews they did was, he was probably 19, but got into business right when COVID happened in 2020.
You're stealing my idea.
Well, I'm sorry. You should have went first. You should have spoke up. But a good example of this was, So this 18-year-old got into the business. His sphere of influence, obviously 18, you don't have a lot of people that are making money at 18. And so being able to buy a house, you're very limited on who you can communicate with and who can buy a home. And with COVID, you couldn't show homes. It was just really difficult. And so in that mindset, it could be very easy for him just to say, you want to know it, real estate's too tough. It's too hard. I got into the business at the wrong time. I just can't be successful. I'm not going to make it. But he didn't look at it that way. He looked at it as, I have my phone and new construction, our homes are empty. There's nobody in them. And so I can use my phone, use Instagram, and I'm going to go start taking videos and showing people and walking through these properties. So for the first 8 months, he had no success, but he was consistently posting every week, at least 7 times a week. And Instagram Reels was a big part of that, stories, posts, but he was just being intentional about it every single day, every single week. And he did this for 8 months straight with nothing. The next 12 months of his business, he procured 50 units. And so Gary Keller had him up there. And to me, it was eye-opening just to see, again, it was an agent, somebody that picked something that they enjoyed, but they were intentional about it and they were consistent. And he consistently did it day after day, week after week, until finally he's now at a point, he said that he gets 10 to 15 leads every day off of Instagram. And he's got a really good lender that scrubs those, and the ones that get pre-approved, he'll start working with and get them under contract. But as a 19-year-old to do 50 units, just amazing. To me, it just, again, the principles of being intentional and being consistent really stood out.
That reminds me of a book. Who's read the book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? So it talks about this time on task, right? The 10,000 hour rule. And it just shows when you are consistent with something, there's a compounding effect that takes place, right? And I think that was a common theme that we found throughout MegaCamp.
Well, since you stole mine, the one that I thought was really interesting is lawyers and attorneys have to have continuing education like we do. And so one gal got together and created a class. So it was a lunch and learn that she got CE certified, and she just goes around and meets with divorce lawyers and probate lawyers and teaches them what it looks like on the real estate side of their process. And she's getting a ton of business from that. So we've actually started the process to get certified to do CE, and we're going to do 2. We're going to do death and divorce and probate, so we can, yeah. So that was really neat.
There's this guy that got up and talked about profit share. Just kidding. Johnny, shout out to Johnny. He's not even here. It was funny seeing him up there. But it goes off Cody's piece. There was a lady that also got up and she talked about 2 posts a day. And that was a huge takeaway for me, just grabbing that one piece. MegaCamp Family Reunion, it's really hard because you literally have thousands of ideas happening and it's just constant. So for me, I just try to capture pictures of a couple slides and then focus on those ones. So yeah, 2 posts a day is my biggest takeaway from, I don't even know her name, but Sheena.
See Middle Mastermind. Go follow it. It's fantastic.
She's awesome. That one.
So I think also just the kind of what you were saying, Shoni, the theme of MegaCamp, I think for me was kind of like the number 3 post over here, just going from entrepreneurial to purposeful. And I felt like I've been a great entrepreneur. I've been really running my business. I think all of us are, like, this is what we're doing, but how purposeful are we? And are we still running like we're a startup, or do we actually have a plan? And what is that plan? And for me, that really kind of hit home, because I realized, I'm like, wow, I really need to have my processes in place. I need to have a structure. I need to have a plan. And kind of tying into one of the sessions, I went to a wealth building session, and they talked about, what's your plan as far as like for wealth, like for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And if you haven't really set anything up for yourself, you really need to think about it, because in the end, we can do charitable acts as realtors. We all do. But they said, you're in this business because you're also creating a business. I mean, this is your business. And to me, I really needed to hear that and just realize that I need to be more purposeful and also consistent, because I think the theme that we all heard also was just being consistent. And as a note, in one of the classes I went to, they talked about basically in 2007, they said, when the market kind of, tanked out, they said the people that stayed in it and the people that just, basically, they had some rough times, but if you stayed in it, they emerged as the leaders. And it was funny because I looked at, when I bought a house, I bought it from Aaron Dressel, who grew up with my husband in New Jersey. And he was like starving right at the time. And then later he's now bought a brokerage. He owns Better Homes and Gardens. And so, you know, it's interesting, but the people that I saw from that time that stuck it out, they're the ones that have come out as leaders. And so no matter what the situation is, find what you can do right now to stay in it.
Love that. What was a compelling idea that you guys feel like will forever change the way that you do business?
I love I feel like they're kind of introducing almost like a Keller Williams networking group, kind of in one of the segments.
You're talking about the millionaire, that one?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Business networking.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, I pick a couple sentences and I'm like, oh, that's the one. Your value comes from contribution. So turn your neighbor's network into your network. And yeah, that's huge. That's a huge piece for me to take away and go, oh, I'm going to steal Becca's network. No, I'm just kidding. Not Becca's, but yeah.
I'll just say that I went to something, and one of the kind of the lines that hit me was that we can have all of these effective tools. And there's so many effective, or I shouldn't say effective, I should say efficient, efficient tools that make us more efficient. And maybe they, send auto updates to people. But in the end, the most effective thing is your time. And it's what people want, even if it's just a 2-minute phone call with someone. But they said nothing, no tool out there can replace a little bit of FaceTime with you and a conversation. And so anyway, I love that. And also just finding what to be excited about in this market. In every market, there's something exciting. So get excited about it and then explain it to your sphere of influence and start talking.
What I'm hearing, Heather, is you're saying you can't really automate a relationship.
That's exactly
right.
it. Yes.
Love that.
I'll go. The one thing I think that I took away, we talked about it as an executive team really, but as a Red Sign team, really understanding how powerful referrals can be. And I don't know, with just coincidentally, I ended up sitting next to Mike on the way home, but just to think about how many units are you on track to do this year? How many did you do last year? How many referrals did you get out of that? Let's just say you did 15 units. Are you capitalizing 1-for-1 on a referral? Are you layering that in a buyer or listing consultation? Are you setting the expectation that you're expecting that client by the end of that you're going to give such a service that they're going to give you a referral and explaining how that works. And if that's done at a high level, let's say you get a referral for those 15 units and all of a sudden 50% of those turn into business. Now you turn 15 and now you're doing 22 units. And so how fast can you grow a business? How many more people can you help? And you're not having to spend any more marketing money. You're not having to go out and do anything different than you're currently doing, but are you using the right script? Are you setting the expectations with the client? And then at the end, if they're not giving it to you, are you having that tougher conversation and saying, hey, I feel like I didn't do something that we talked about. What can I do better? Because I was really expecting you to have a referral, and having that conversation at the end. And so that's something that I took away. We're talking about how we're going to implement that at a high level as a team. And for us to generate more referrals just off of current business, it just makes sense.
So mine is long-term goal planning. So this year I just had a production goal and nothing really beyond that. And as it got harder this year, it didn't motivate me to push through, because it's like, well, production money's money, but I needed something bigger than that. So we're going to Jay Papasan's goal setting retreat, which will help me with a 3-year and a 5-year goal.
Love it. It's great. So and this is more personalized to your specific business, right? Which is, what breakthrough are you needing to figure out in your business to get from where you currently are today to where you want to be a year from now?
Well, I kind of just answered that, so I'll go. Same thing. I need to get bigger than just yearly goals. So I'm building a foundation for something bigger.
Cool.
I think for us is we had a lot of new construction over the last couple of years as a team. And so for us, it's getting really intentional on what is our lead generating sources And are we doing that consistently at a high level every single day to drive business? And so there's multiple things that come into that. But for us, it's doing that, being intentional and being dedicated and consistent in lead generating to grow our business.
There's a piece that we haven't even addressed, and I just want to throw a shout out to it. What do we call that? The vendor booth, the vendor area, just vendor area? Exhibit hall. Thank you. One of the best things that Family Reunion and mega camps have to offer. So for us, our biggest piece is utilizing what Keller Williams has already spent millions of dollars building. Their vendors, their partners are in there, and there are expansion opportunities, schooling opportunities, different programs, networks that you can join. Boom towns, they're literally doing live demonstrations, referrals to teach you how to implement social media marketing and lead capture off that. Massive opportunities at spending a lot of time in there, meeting the other vendors. That's what helped us map our next push is just laying out true groundwork and organization in the back end of things.
Yeah, mine was kind of on the goal setting side as well. And just, it seems like a lot of times I'm just kind of throwing the dart, and hoping it hits something really good. And so I think just realizing that I've really got to be very purposeful again, going back to that. And also just not reinventing the wheel. There's a lot out there, and even in the back end of command that, we're not using and that we're just not accessing. And so I think just saying, how can I do this smarter and quicker, as far as, I don't need to start everything all over.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things that is interesting is part of these events that we go to, part of it is very informational based, right? But there's also kind of a transformational process that can take place. And a lot of it happens through specific ideas. And so I had each of you throw me one of your favorite quotes, something that really stood out to you and hit home during the event. And funny enough, Cody and Becca sent me the identical exact same quotes. They both sent two.
No,
They sent the same ones.
yeah, I think it was me and Heather.
Okay, Heather.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
My wife has that t-shirt.
So the first one, Heather, is don't be an asshole. Yes. Someone who asks for help and then does not apply it, or someone who keeps asking the same question, hoping to hear the answer they want to hear. Why was that valuable to you, Heather?
Because I think we all love that validation, or we want to just hear what we want to hear, and realizing that sometimes, we need to be open. If we're going to ask somebody for some advice, we need to actually hear them and apply it. And if not, then, what's the point? Yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
I like that one.
It's huge. It's huge.
Great one. Cody, great leaders do not create followers. They create other great leaders.
Gosh, we're just thinking on the same way.
You guys are the exact same two
Go to the same place.
Yeah, we were. We got to know each other. It was good. MegaCamp was good. Yeah, I think for me, when I look at my life and just where I've been and where I'd like to get to, we just in business, you just never get there without the help of others. And so as your world grows, as things get bigger, as your business continues to grow and gets bigger and bigger, are you then lending a hand to those that have been where you were at one time? And are you helping those people become leaders? Are we giving people the opportunity to grow in their life and their business? And it's more than just business. Money comes and goes, but do we present opportunities for people to grow in life as well? And so I think a good example of that is just seeing Johnny on stage it was cool, because he's one of those people that continues to lend a hand to continue to create opportunities for others to grow and become leaders. And so it was awesome to see him up there.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we didn't know, all of a sudden we're watching the screen and it's showing a video feed of Gary Keller. And then it zooms out and Johnny's sitting right next to him being interviewed about wealth building. And obviously he knew it wasn't a spur of the moment thing because he's all dressed up in a nice suit, but he kept it secret from all of us, which is kind of cool. But it's awesome to be able to see him up there and talk about his journey, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. So we had, name just wasn't changed. So the number one way to get people to do business with you is to come from contribution.
Yeah, again, it's a fascinating concept of anytime that you just give anybody anything, there's an automatic feel inside of them to return the favor. And it's as simple. It's why we preach and teach to do thank you cards, to do simple gifts, client events, any way that you can touch your SOI and just come from a leverage of contribution, anything you can pass to them. It's phenomenal. I love that. I love that they put that on the stage this time.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Okay.
we're moving into a skill-based market. I'm super excited about this because I think a lot of the soft skills have been lost in the last 2 years. And as we've been going through the Shift series, everyone's been relearning or pulling out new tools. But I think this is where you can take your skill and shine. And it's not just going to be who's going to get my house on the market the quickest. It'll take a lot more. And I'm super excited about that.
Cool. Sweet. So I will give just like 2-3 minutes for any of you in the audience to ask a question. If you have one for these individuals, we've got some rock stars up here. But I'll ask one last question before we turn the time over to you guys, which is Gary talked a lot about the market, right? He pulled up the market updates, and we've been talking about this for a couple months, where you need to be the economist of choice for your clients, right? You need to be the one that's informing them about what's happening and then also how they should respond or react, right? So I'm just curious about what aha did you guys have about the market during that general session where Gary broke down what's taking place?
Based off of the last 2 months of numbers, we're already in full, I would almost call it a crisis mode, right? We're already there. Relax. That brought peace actually to me because, oh, yeah, okay. It's all right. Yeah, it could get worse, but we're doing okay. Keep working, keep grinding, keep showing up every single day. Every day, get up, get to work. And I haven't lost my house yet. It's good, solid. Yeah. So that was really a big takeaway. Like, it's already declined massively. And if we're still here producing, even at this meeting, means you're still showing up right now.
I'll go. It made me really understand. I think I'll play off a little bit of what Becca just said, is just the opportunity. I went to a listing appointment on Friday last week, and they had interviewed multiple agents, and their range of, and I think this very well depicts the importance of becoming an expert and sharpening your skills every day. Their pricing ranged anywhere from $580 to $720. They had met with 3 other agents. There was a $140,000 difference in their pricing from 3 other agents. To me, that's just, it's a lack of skill in the marketplace. So one of the things I think I really understood too is just how important it is to be able to educate buyers and sellers with what the market's doing and what the data tells us. What does history tell us? Reynolds, I can't remember her first name. Sarah Reynolds. There you go. There was a slide where she depicted in 2008 at the bottom, because I think we have a lot of seller conversations. Another example is just, hey, maybe I'll just rent my house out. Maybe I'll just put a renter in there. I'll keep my house. Maybe the market will change in a year. But when you looked at the data to see how long that bottom lasted, being able to help a seller understand that, have that conversation of, do you understand? Are you prepared to be a landlord for the next 4, 5, 6 years? If it takes that long for appreciation to get back or to come where you think it makes sense for you, are you ready to be a landlord for that long? Because this is what the data tells us. This is what history tells us. And are you ready for that? And so looking at the data, being an expert and being able to translate that at a high level is very, very important for us to go out and to be an agent at a high level.
And once you've rented it for over 3 years, you lose your taxable gain exemption. So don't do it.
Correct.
What was the question?
Just the biggest aha about the market itself.
So I started reading Shift in like March this year. So I knew it was coming because I am into the numbers and I'm a nerd. So the thing that I really liked was that 50% of buyers in the 2012 were first-time home buyers, because the government came out and did that grant for $8,000, I think. And the government's working on another one for 15,000. So work on your first time home buyers because they're not buying because they don't have that same mindset of, oh, 3%, I can't do 4%, I can't do 5%. They were in high school. They're not as aware, but they're buying for their own personal reasons. So focus on your first time home buyers.
But the challenge is there's no inventory for them.
There's plenty of inventory.
Dun, dun, dun.
We have 3 months of inventory. That's a lot.
Plenty of options.
Swimming in houses.
So mine was just don't go from a scarcity mindset. And there's still plenty of work to be done out there. There's always work to be done out there. There are people that are always needing to move, and focus on the people that are needing to move instead of wanting to move. And so you've got to look at the needs. Also, I think one thing that was mentioned too was just, I think the confidence really plays in this market. It's going to play a really important role, because if you walk in and you don't have data backing you up and you're like, well, I think your house is maybe worth this. I mean, if you can go in and actually present data and say, this is where it was, this is where we're at right now, this is, kind of where we're heading. That's what people want in this kind of a market. People are needing a little reassurance, and it's not even on the price, and don't walk in and give them unrealistic expectations, but just be, as long as they know that you're committed, that you're confident, that you're reading data, that you're in this, that's what's going to put you at a better position than other people walking into a listing presentation. And one thing that Gary Keller, I went to a meeting kind of at the very end of MegaCamp, and one thing that he said that actually surprised me is he said, for this next year, don't focus on your production goal, which was a little bit of a jolt for me. I went, wow. But he said, get your systems and processes in place and take over market share and be in the market, stay consistent, and focus on market share instead of what you're netting.
That's great. That's big. Do we have 1 or 2 questions from the audience?
It was that good.
They already crushed it. Yeah.
Closing.
Cool.
So just one piece I want to share. If you guys have ever thought about going to Family Reunion Mega Camp, I'm sure that's our next plug, right? I already bought my tickets and hotel for Family Reunion. It's in California this year, 10-hour drive. Phew, nice and easy. Sitting in this room, and I mean this no offense to anyone, there's even people working right now because that's what we have to do, right? When you're in these sessions, sitting on a stage where you can't actually have a computer because it's dark and you're watching, you grasp so much more. The pieces that you retain and grab are so much better because you're in there focused on listening to someone. Whatever question you're going to ask, that's my answer.
I was just going to say that was not a paid ad, but thank you, Carl, because Family Reunion is live. It is open. It is in Anaheim. It's already posted on our Facebook page. So go there. It's pinned at the top. You can see what hotel we're all staying at. There's 2 different options, and it's right next to the convention center. So those are going to book out pretty quick.
So it's going to drive the bus down. Just say it.
We've got the party bus coming. So it's going to be an awesome time. You want to be there. It's in February. So you have plenty of time to plan for that. One last thought that I'll share is what I believe is going to be the biggest competitive advantage over the next 12 months is an idea that I had hit at MegaCamp. And somebody said, they asked this question, and I encourage you to write it down or take note. But they said, are you fulfilling a function or are you delivering an experience? So think about how you interact with your clients and ask yourself this question. Are you just simply fulfilling a function or are you actually delivering an experience? That's going to be the separating factor that creates a repeat and referral business that allows you to tap into more market share. And so highly encourage you to get intentional, get purposeful. That's probably the biggest, the most consistently said word up here today, if you haven't caught that, is being purposeful, being intentional around how you design your business. So get very clear about what you need to adapt. If you're just fulfilling a function, how can you change that into delivering an experience that your clients are going to remember and create a repeat and referral business? Cool. Give them a hand. We've got Adam.